Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Knowledge is Power. I have the pleasure today to introduce you to my guest, Silvia Mather, from across the pond. Silvia is the owner at Hummingbird Hypnotherapy. She also holds a BSC Honours Degree in Social Work, an AIM Award in Hypnotherapy and Counselling, and UK Hypnosis Academy Hypnosis and Kinetic Shift Award. She's a member of the National Hypnotherapy Society, and she has over 20 years in working with individuals to support them to make positive changes. With Silvia and Hummingbird Therapy, they are here to work in partnership with you to make the changes that you would like. And with that, welcome, Silvia.
Hi, great to be here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. I've been so looking forward to this.
Me too.
So, tell me, hypnotherapy, social work to hypnotherapy, how did you get there? Can you share a little bit about your journey with us?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I first started off as a telephone counsellor, and this was for a parenting charity. So stressed out parents ringing for some words of advice and a listening ear. And it was at that time that I decided to train as a social worker. And I was kind of under a bit of an illusion that social worker would be all the time spending lovely time helping people, which I did do a lot of. I did. Once I've qualified, I worked in a child protection team, which really was much more rewarding than you might first imagine. A lot of the families that I worked with were absolutely lovely people who were just struggling and just needed somebody to just be there and help them and just listen to them and all of those things. But the job was very difficult and demanding, and there was not a lot of support for you as a worker. I think that was kind of the main thing that I found difficult. We had a lot of work to do, too much really for the time that we had. So it was hard and stressful. So I did that for 10 years, just under 10 years. And I decided that I wanted to leave, and that was for a few reasons. One was my own mental health was really suffering at the time. I was really unwell and probably so busy that I didn't realize how unwell I was, which is quite common. And even though I knew quite a lot about mental ill health because of the families and people that I worked with in my training, didn't even recognize that fully in myself. And so I decided to look for something else for that reason. I also, a parallel to that had been, quite a lot of significant things had happened in my life, which had affected my mental health as well as the job. My mother died when I was very young, and I was in 2 very abusive relationships, which had a big impact. My father had depression. He took his own life. Actually, that was 3 days before I started my job.
Oh dear.
So, that it didn't, there was quite a lot of things going on. I'd forgotten about that actually until I said that. So a big, massive amount of things going on. And so the first sort of logical thing seemed to do was to leave that job, which was the most obvious stressful element in my life. But what would I do? What would I do instead? Now, I absolutely loved, as I said, the element of helping people and supporting families. And just to make that change, I loved in particular working with younger parents who just, for somebody to come and give them some encouragement and guidance and just tell them that they're doing okay was massive, and I loved that, and it was good. I thought, what can I do? What can I do instead? So I looked around and I found a counselling course. So it was like a more formal counselling, even though I had my degree. Because in order to open my own practice, you know, you need the the ticky box. However, the first year of this course was hypnotherapy. And they said, though, if I had relevant experience, you could skip this year and go on to the counselling degree. Okay. Well, I've got a social work degree. Will that suffice? And to my surprise, they said, no, that won't suffice. You don't have enough.
That is surprising.
You don't have enough things. It doesn't fit. It's not on our list of things that we accept. So I was really frustrated because I just really wanted to get on to this new chapter. This was going to be the thing that was going to help. But anyway, I had no choice. I went on to the hypnotherapy part of the course. And this literally changed my life. Like, I know that sounds really melodramatic, but it did. It really did. Because I discovered that there was true power in this therapy. So I discovered that it was going to help me, which it did. I had been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I don't have those things now. And that is because of the hypnotherapy, you know. And I also began to understand that the power was with me. That really was. And I know people say that a lot, that you're the one that has to change and da 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 da. And it's not easy, but it was with me. Because I think very much like a lot of people, I'd been through that stage where I'm like, I don't feel well. Somebody fix me. Somebody come and help and do this for me. This is too difficult. But I didn't need fixing. I just needed some different guidance. So I trained as a hypnotherapist and I left my job and I started, which wasn't as planned. What I'd planned was that I would build a hypnotherapy practice up, then leave my job. But there were a few sort of, things that happened within the service, as happens with a lot of these services. And I was like, no. I think in my mind, I'd already made the decision, and to stay seemed so horrible.
You had already left emotionally.
Yeah, I'd already left. So I did leave. And knowing nothing about business, I didn't know how to set up my own business, but I've muddled through, made loads of mistakes, learned loads, and here I am. I am a confident business owner.
That's impressive, very impressive. So I know there's a lot of people out there that have thought about hypnotherapy, but had hesitancy, not sure if it works, don't want to become a chicken.
Yeah.
What would you say to those people?
What I would say is that the best thing is to try it out, because there are so many misconceptions around hypnotherapy. So I do talk about this a lot. People have seen quite a lot of the TV and stage hypnosis where people are being a bit silly, and it looks like they are out of control. So I get why people think that I am going to control their mind, because it looks like these people on the stage are being controlled. But the really interesting thing that I discovered about stage hypnosis is that the people that they choose to get on stage are usually, well, not usually, always, people who would normally be quite outgoing and quite silly and not afraid to make a fool of themselves. So they wouldn't pick somebody like me out of the audience whose body language would be quite shy and going, oh, don't pick me. They're going to pick the person who's going, oh yeah, this is so cool. Like, I hope I get picked.
Yeah.
So already they're halfway there, because this person is already open to some silly suggestions. And so it is a thing. But using that in a therapy sense, I couldn't make somebody do something they wouldn't want to do. So if that hypnotist dragged me onto the stage, for example, and said, you have to do it, it wouldn't work. I wouldn't do it because my internal belief system and everything about me as a person would go, no. So it's there's a lot of research into this. It's impossible for a hypnotist or a hypnotherapist to plant ideas into a person's head that they don't want. So if somebody came to me for one issue and I, for whatever reason, decided that I thought it was something else, but that person didn't want to change that, it wouldn't work. I couldn't go, oh, I know that you're struggling with, I don't know, time management, but I think you've got something wrong with your confidence or something. And I tried to work on that when that wasn't what they wanted to achieve, then it would be pointless. So it is definitely you as a person that's in control.
Okay, so then many people are familiar with traditional talk therapy. Sometimes it can go on for years and years. How does that compare, time frames, et cetera, with hypnotherapy?
Yes. Well, as you say, certain talking therapies can go on and on. And hypnotherapy is really fast acting. And the reason it works quickly is because we use the subconscious mind where the issue is, every issue, everything about us is in there. And that's where we make the change through hypnosis. So you're not going to have to come for months and years.
What's
So
a typical way that it happens?
So typically, if somebody, let's use anxiety. Somebody comes to me wanting to work around their anxiety, we'd have one initial session where we'd make a lot of change. Then what happens, and it's quite magical actually, is the brain starts to work through these issues and it kind of clears the ground or gets rid of all the clutter. That's what I find happens in that first session. And people come back to me for the second session and they have got clarity about what it is. Because when our brains are suffering from depression, anxiety, trauma, all of these things, it's not functioning properly. So this first session is we clear out. We come back for the second session and we work on what has arisen, I guess. Then we take a break and we let that settle and see how that settles into their daily life. And then we'll revisit it in maybe a month's time.
Okay.
And we might do another couple of sessions, but then we might not.
Okay, so it depends on the individual, it sounds like.
It does depend on the individual and it depends on the issues. And sometimes, there are layers of issues. Sometimes things have been there for a really long time. So, we work through all of that, but we are not talking months, years, session upon session upon session.
Okay. So you clearly have a heart of a servant, and I know you really want to help as many people as you can. Are there any sorts of people or problems that you cannot help?
I don't think there is, to be honest. I mean, the contraindications are anyone who's suffering from psychosis or taking any psychotic medication. And that's more to do with the medication, to be honest, because it can have a very big impact on the way that the brain works. It's doing a lot of stuff. So that's a no. A long time ago, there was a belief that if people had epilepsy, hypnotherapy might be a risk to them, but research has shown that that's no risk. So generally, if you have something in your mind that is causing you a problem and you want to change it, then it can be changed. The other really important thing that I always say to people is you don't have to come with a diagnosis. And in fact, I'm not interested in the diagnosis because I had a diagnosis, but my PTSD would be completely different to Joe Bloggs next door. So what I ask people is, how do you feel? And that's the important thing.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. I did mention earlier that you're across the pond. Where are you located across the pond?
So I live in a city called Newcastle upon Tyne, where the people are known as Geordies.
Okay.
It's a northern place in Newcastle in England. Sorry. So yes, but I do work locally. However, since the pandemic across the world,
Sure.
all of my sessions are now delivered online, which has been absolutely amazing and
That's
opened up so many
wonderful.
doors.
I do notice for a lot of us holistic practitioners, that has been a silver lining.
Yeah,
Zoom has been actually a blessing, and
absolutely.
geographic barriers really don't exist. If you have the
No,
technology, internet, and device.
yeah,
So that answers my next question, which was, you can help anyone regardless of where they live.
exactly, exactly. And regardless of where they live, and it's been really exciting for me. You know, I've had clients in Australia, New Zealand, and America, and it's been really fun. And um, as long as they speak English, because I don't speak any other languages, so I guess there's only the language barrier here. But other than that,
That's amazing and very
yeah,
helpful to say. In your current practice, is there any certain kinds of problems you see more often than others?
definitely. It goes in phases, but I would definitely say that over the last year, it's been high levels of anxiety and depression. That has been the main issue that people have come to me about, um, which I think is just a reflection of the situation in the world.
Sure.
But those anxieties have been around many different issues. So it doesn't matter what it is. But yeah, and more recently, as we are coming out of the pandemic and people are suddenly afraid because they haven't been out of their sweatpants for the past year, myself included, um, people are looking at their fitness and diet. So
That's a good point.
yeah,
Trying to get back into their traditional work clothes.
yes, yes. So there's been a kind of flurry on that recently.
Well, I can see that that would be very useful, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's great. Is there something I haven't asked you that you would like to share with our audience?
Don't think so. I think we've covered it all. But all that I would really say is that the main thing is that hypnotherapy is, you are in control. I always say that to my clients: you are in control. This is about you finding what you want. So throw out any expectations or things that you might think you know about it, and come along and have a go, because that's the best way to experience it.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I noticed on your website you have a blog, and so
Yeah.
you give some advice there as
Yes,
well.
I do. And I also started over the past year a membership program, which is kind of designed to be a kind of maintenance tool. So for anybody who just wants to keep a nice eye on their well-being,
Sure.
that's kind of what that's for. And a lot of my clients will maybe use that after their sessions, after their target sessions, they might use this. So it's got some hypnotherapy videos in it and top tips and all that sort of thing. So it's
What a
quite a
great
nice introduction.
aftercare tool, huh?
Yes, yes, kind of like an aftercare.
And can other people access that if they haven't had therapy with you?
Yes, it's open to absolutely everybody. And you just become a member, and once you're a member, there's a sort of secret place on the website that only members get to see, and that's got all the videos and articles and I do wellness challenges. So it's just all about being really nice to yourself. And it's a really good chance to try out a bit of hypnotherapy.
Awesome. Where can people find you?
Okay, so my website is hummingbirdhypnotherapy.net. Nice and simple. And then all of the information and social media channels is all on the website.
And is there a significance to Hummingbird?
Hummingbird I chose because of the lovely spiritual nature of the hummingbird. It's got such amount of positivity attached to it. But hummingbirds are really adaptable and they're really small, and people don't really maybe give them that much credit, but they are strong and powerful. So I just thought that really encompasses what I would really like to my clients to experience.
How beautiful that is. And we will also put your contact information with the video. I encourage anyone who this resonated with to get in touch with Silvia. I don't think you will be disappointed. And let me see what else I can say. Until next time, I want you to feel empowered. And this is Adrianne Gerard with Silvia Mather with Knowledge is Power. Take care.